Banjo lady not long ago in New Orleans, Louisiana, named Marie Laveau. Believe it or not, strange as it seems, she made a fortune selling voodoo and interpreting dreams. She was known throughout the nation as the Voodoo Queen. Folks come to her for miles and miles around. She had showed them how to put that.
Peace, peace, people. Welcome to Yemima's World, the Jelly Moose's Cafe. I am your hostess, Yemima. Of course, it is good to be black in the land of the living once again. The song that you listened to before is Papa Celestine's New Orleans Band, and it is entitled Marie Laveau. All right. Again, we are still into Hoodoo Heritage Month, and I wanted to bring a twofer today. Um, I know that we are in Hoodoo Heritage Month, but I do know that a lot of people who practice hoodoo also practice voodoo, even though they are both standalone practices. You don't have to practice one. You don't have to practice them both. You can practice one or the other, or you can practice both of them. There are some things that are in hoodoo that are also in voodoo, and vice versa. And so, excuse me, the reason I wanted to come on and do these two particular ancestors is because of the climate that we are in the United States. We are about to have an election in about 9 days, and we all know that one of the candidates is a black woman, a black Indian woman. And I knew it was going to be just a matter of time before they start throwing specific names at her. I heard 45, never to become 47, accused her of using witchcraft to, I'm talking about Madam Vice President Kamala Harris, uh, to, as of using witchcraft to get ahead in the polls. She's been called a Jezebel by the white churches, and some black churches, unfortunately, have called her a witch. Um, I knew that when the Haitians, when there was a spotlight on the Haitians in Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, one of the political people there, I don't know how he served in politics, but he said the Haitians were coming in with their voodoo, and that had to be stopped. I remember back in the day when Pat Robertson was head of the 700 Club right here in Virginia. He often said that Haiti sold their soul to the devil, and that's why they were in such turmoil, and that's why their country was in such disarray. And in the time he's talking about them selling their soul was when the Haitian Revolution kicked off, and they had their voodoo ceremony at Boyce Cayman, and Dutty Bookman and Cecile Fatima led a voodoo ceremony, and it kicked off the Haitian Revolution, and they got their independence. And I don't think that they would have if they didn't tap into that energy of the ancestors to fight. It was not anything that was like, they actually fought, physically fought. And I really think that they got their energy and their strength to do that, to finally do that from their ancestors and from their Loas. All right, so we're going to get into it tonight. And the reason we're going to get to the reason why I'm talking about hoodoo and voodoo in these two particular people when it comes to politics. So we know the name Marie Laveau, and I tried to find information about her online. It's not a lot, other than it's sparse, so it's not like a complete story. So Wikipedia was what I could find that was I thought was complete. So if you know of anything else about her that I may not cover, or if something that I cover may be incorrect, please put it in the comments and I will go back and correct it, or I will add to it, or whatever. So I'm going to read from Wikipedia what they say about Queen Mother Marie Laveau. All right, so she was born September 10th, 1801. She uh, We join the ancestors on June 15th, 1881. She was a Louisiana Creole practitioner of voodoo, a herbalist, and a midwife who was and renowned in New Orleans. Her daughter, Marie Laveau II, was born in 1827 and she died 1862. She also practiced root work, conjure, Native American and African spiritualism, as well as Louisiana voodoo and traditional Roman Catholicism. An alternate spelling of her name is considered by historians to be from the original French spelling. All right, her early life. Records show that Marie Catherine Laveau was born a free woman of color in New Orleans in the French quarters in Louisiana on Thursday, September 10th, 1801. At the time of her birth, Louisiana was still administered by Spanish colonial officials, although by treaty the territory had been restored to the French First Republic a year prior. Her mother, Marguerite the Cottonnelle, was a free woman of African, European, and Native American ancestry. Because Laveau's mother was not married at the time of her birth, her father was not identified on her 1801 baptismal record. A possible candidate is Charles Laveau, the son of Charles Laveau Trudeau, a white Louisiana Creole and politician. Other historians claim that Laveau's father was a free man of color named Charles Laveau. Much of the confusion is due to inconsistent spellings in surviving records. On August 4th, 1819, she married Jacques Paris, also known as Santiago Paris in Spanish records, a free man of color who was among the thousands of immigrants from Saint Domingue to New Orleans in the wake of the Haitian Revolution. Their marriage certificate is preserved in the St. Louis Cathedral in New Orleans. The wedding mass was performed by Father Antonio de Sedela, the Capuchin, the Capuchin priest known as Pierre Antoine. The couple had two daughters, Felicite and Angelique, who are presumed to have died in childhood. Paris worked as a carpenter in New Orleans until 1822, after which he disappeared from city records. He is believed to have died in Baton Rouge in 1823. On Felicity's 1824 baptismal certificate, Laveau is referred to as the widow parish. Her personal life. Following the death of her husband, she entered into a domestic partnership with Christophe Dominique Dumine de Glepion, a noble of French descent with whom she lived until her death in 1855. They were reported to have had 15 children. It is unclear if that includes children and grandchildren. They had 7 children according to birth and baptismal records: Francois Auguste Glapion, Marie Louise Caroline Glapion, Marie Angélie Paris, Celestine Albert Glapion, Arsenage Glapion, Félicité Paris, Marie Philomene Glapon, and Marie Heloise Eucharist Glapon. Only Marie Heloise and Marie Philomene survived into adulthood. That's sad. She had all these kids, and unfortunately, they all passed away before adulthood. Marie Laveau is confirmed to have owned at least 7 slaves during her lifetime. During her life, Marie Laveau was known to have attended to prisoners who were sentenced to death. Rumors circulated that some prisoners would receive poisons or other substances before going to the gallows, but that was never proven. A reporter from the New Orleans Republican detailed one such visit in an article published in May 14th, 1871, in which he described Marie Laveau as a devout and acceptable member of the Catholic Communion. Following her death, her daughter confirmed during an interview with a reporter that only Catholic traditions would take place during these visits, and that her mother would also prepare the men's last meal and pray with them. Marie Laveau also sought pardons or commutations for sentences for those she favored and was often successful in her efforts. She was known to care for the sick in her community during the yellow fever epidemic of 1878 and by providing herbal medicines, remedies, and prayers for the afflicted. Her other community activities included visiting prisoners, providing lessons to the women of the community, and doing rituals for those in need without charge. Her career. She was a dedicated practitioner of voodoo, a healer, a herbalist, and entrepreneur. LeBeau was known as a prominent female religious leader and community activist. She started a beauty parlor where she was a hairdresser for the wealthier families of New Orleans. She excelled in obtaining inside information on her wealthy patrons at the beauty parlor by listening to ladies gossip or from their servants whom she either paid or cured of mysterious ailments. She used this information during her voodoo consultations with wealthy Orleanians women to enhance her image as a clairvoyant and used this intel to give them practical advice. She also made money selling her clients gree as charms to help their wishes come true. In her role as a voodoo practitioner, customers often appealed to Laveau for help with family disputes, health, finances, and more. Laveau performed her services in three main places: her own home on St. Anne Street within Congo Square and at Lake Pontchartrain. She was the third female leader of voodoo in New Orleans. The first was Sanite Dede, who ruled for a few years before being usurped by Marie Salape, a New Orleans voodoo queen or priestess. Marie Laveau maintained her authority throughout her leadership, although there was an attempt to challenge her in 1850. Due to her strong influence, New Orleans voodoo lost a large number of adherents after her death. Her daughter, Marie Laveau II, displayed more theatrical rubrics by holding public events, including inviting attendees to St. John's Eve rituals on the Bayou St. John. Of Laveau's magical career, there is little that can be substantiated, including whether or not she had a snake she named Zombie after an African god, whether the occult part of her magic mixed Roman Catholic saints with African spirits and Native American spiritualism. Now that last part, whether the occult things that could not be substantiated, whether the occult part of her magic mixed Roman Catholic saints with African spirits. We know that to be true because that is how our ancestors survived by mixing the Catholic saints with our African gods. All right. I pulled this up as well because we know that Queen Mother Marie Laveau also helped politicians. Politicians in that day would go to her for help with elections. So I pulled this as well. It says Marie Laveau, a free black woman in New Orleans, voodoo practitioner, had a significant impact on politics, social norms, and cultural beliefs in the American South. Laveau used voodoo as a form of resistance to the oppressive conditions of the time. She gathered large crowds of people in the Congo Square to practice voodoo rituals, which helped foster unity among various groups of black women. Laveau's influence extended to political leaders, and she was known to seek pardons or commutations of sentences for those that she favored. During Reconstruction, Laveau presided over well publicized multiracial ceremonies on Lake Pontchartrain and Bayou St. John. The religious ethic of voodoo reinforced Reconstruction's promise of an interracial democracy. And a lot of times when we think about politics, we automatically go to the president. We don't think about politicians as those who are even on the local level, governors, mayors, city council members, school board members. All of that is politics, and politics is community. And so you have these people that were in these communities in New Orleans during the time of Queen Mother Madame Louis Laveau that was coming to her for advice, whether they were politicians running for something on in the community. It didn't have to be on a grand scale of a president, but running to her or going to her and getting information. I promise you, I promise you, politicians in 2024 in especially southern states are still going to these tarot readers. They are still going to uh, people who practice hoodoo, people that practice voodoo, people that practice the arts. Some want to call it dark magic. I don't believe in dark magic being applied to African traditional sacred sciences. There is dark magic and dark religion, as well as light magic and light religion. But I promise you, people are still going to her, not to her, but are going to people like her to help them in this election season. All right, so let's talk about the other person that you see up there. On the left, you see Queen Mother Marie Laveau, and on the right, we see a Louisiana Voodoo King, and he went by the name of the Chicken Man. All right, so the Chicken Man. His name was Prince Kiyama. He was born in Haiti in 1937. After his birth, his family immigrated into the United States, where his grandfather, who was a Baptist minister, began to teach him the Holy Bible. Prince learned as well and fast. He had great faith in God and in his son Jesus Christ. At the age of 9, Prince's grandfather sat down with him and told him something that was to change his life forever. You have the power, Prince, he said. God has given you the power to help people. God shows you things about people that you have no other way of knowing. You have magic powers. You have the power to heal. After this revelation, Prince studied even harder. He prayed that God would teach him to use his powers for good. He prayed constantly for protection against Satan. Prince's grandmother taught him about the magic power of herbs. She showed him ancient Haitian voodoo secrets that would help him develop his powers even more. Prince grew powerful every day. He prayed constantly for everyone he met. He helped everyone who was in need, and he received a revelation that he should eat chicken every day. This would protect him from evil and help him to grow even more. And we know, side note, we know that in a lot of rituals, whether it's hoodoo or voodoo, we use chicken, the chicken foot or chicken feet. Soon Prince had such control over his body, he could chew glass without bleeding. He could stick pins through his jaw without pain, and he could eat fire. Prince wanted to help others come closer to God, so he developed a nightclub act to demonstrate the powers of God and voodoo. He showed many people how God was a real power in their lives. And while traveling with his night show act, Chicken Man began to meet people from all over the world. Many of them could not speak English. It was during that time that the Chicken Man discovered more of his power. When a person comes to him who does not speak English, the only language Chicken Man speaks, he can communicate with them by using his voodoo magic. So there we have basically a form of speaking in tongues, because that is what speaking in tongues is. It is speaking another language that you were never taught. Chicken Man, at the time of this writing, he was still residing in New Orleans with his wife, Bobby Kiyama, the chicken woman. Together, they have opened a voodoo shop in the middle of the historic French quarters. It is here that the chicken lady uses her magic powers to give readings. By looking into a person's eyes, she can tell them their past, present, and future. It is in their shop in the 700 block of world famous Bourbon Street that the Chicken Man and his wife practice their religion. It is there that they prepare blessed, healing, gris and magic potions. All right. So I believe that he passed away in 1998, I think. Now, I also pulled this information about the Chicken Man. All right. New Orleans. Let's see. All right, it says Prince Kiyama, the Voodoo King, sells bags of doggy dung and seaweed to Republicans. The sacks are gree bags. In the voodoo cult, the bags ward off drunkenness, ulcer, cancer, and for a mere 25 bucks. And this was cited by Michael Dukakis, who was a politician. Republicans frequent the shop off St. Anne on Bourbon Street. It drips with Spanish moss and whispers of lost souls. The place was home to the daughter of Marie Laveau, the famed voodoo sorceress of the Creoles. Laveau died a century ago, but her tomb on St. Louis is a site of folk veneration. An X mark written in soft brick brings good fortune, and the shot reverberates her spirit. Most of Kiyama's magic this week goes for the Republicans. Lots of them tell me they want help with the election, says the prince. I helped them in a positive way with good luck bags for George Bush. Kiyama has toned down his act. He doesn't curse or kill anymore. In my younger days, he said, I did away with these men. So, he said, hooking thumbs in his feather lined red vest. But I don't tell you who. I've hurt men. I've smashed their minds. That was just with a thought of mine. It's something you can learn like putting wine in a cellar. The more the mind ages, the more secret knowledge comes out. Um, I want to see if it said anything else about. It does not say anything else about him, but he mentions two Republican politicians that came to him for, uh, for hoodoo, for voodoo, and he mentions Michael Dukakis, and he mentions George W. Bush. Now, I read somewhere it's been probably maybe a year ago, and I wish I had clipped the article, but there was a politician who carried a gree bag, a mojo bag, in his pocket. And if anybody knows what I'm talking about, please drop it in the comments and let me know. I have articles that I have pulled off of newspaper clippings where it talks about judges also carrying mojo bags when they sit on the bench. So politicians have always gone to um, African Americans in the diaspora, no matter where you ended up in the diaspora. They've come to us, just like they did on the plantation when they would come to us for healing. When they couldn't get the healing that they needed from their white doctors, they would often go to the conjure woman. They would often go to the herbalist, the root worker. And again, in this climate, we see them attacking Vice President Kamala Harris and calling her a witch. We know what they did to witches. And so I ask that as a collective of African Americans, as a collective of those of us who practice African traditional sacred science and spiritual traditions, that we come together and we cover her because these people are crazy. They're absolutely crazy. So I ask that we come together and we cover her in prayer and rituals and and going to her ancestors on her behalf, that they cover her and keep her protected and safe. All right, so that is it. 9 days. Something's got to change. This country is going to change in 9 days, no matter who goes in office. It's going to change. We have to decide whether it's going to change for the better for us or if we are going to revert back to 50 years ago. All right. So that's it for today. I hope that you have been enjoying the information that I've been giving for Hoodoo Heritage Month. Please like, share, subscribe. If you feel led to, my Cash App is in the scroll at the bottom. Um, I welcome donations. It helps me to purchase information to bring it here. It helps me with my time to get the information to bring it to you. And if you just like the information, if you've been educated, if you've learned something in these posts, please, again, my Cash App is at the bottom. It is $ Yemima 86, is YEMIMA 86. And until next time, you know the drill. Love each other, love yourself, give yourself some grace, give each other some grace. Honor your ancestors. They will honor you. We are our ancestors. Stay cool, stay hot wherever you are. Stay warm, I should say. Stay warm, stay cool wherever you are. Stay safe. And until next time, As always, stay black. Peace, family.